What's up, everybody? I want to welcome you to our continuing, ongoing discussion of circles, where we're talking about the power of relationship within the Christian community. And I'm joined by some friends of mine here. These are some staff members at Manna Church that we're going to have a conversation around what it looks like to grow in gifting today and how we do that within the context of small groups. But my name is Chris. I work here at Fayetteville Fort Bragg. I'm the lead pastor of Manna Church here in Fayetteville Fort Bragg, and I'm joined by, let's just go around the circle and say who we are. Who are you, fine sir?
Sounds good. That's a great question.
Yeah.
No, but my name is Elliot. I'm the Cliffdale site pastor right now here at the Manna Church Fayetteville Fort Bragg area. Started on staff here in 2013, just a year after I left active duty Army. And I started coming here to Manna Church 2003. Crazy, I know. 2003 as PFC Diaz.
Wow. Yikes.
Wow.
Yeah. Not too many friends there. Yeah. But here I am.
I'm not sure how to digest that, but let's keep going around the circle.
Fantastic.
Nick, you're wearing Manna Church swag. Tell us about how you got that hat.
I feel like I've lived here most of my life.
I feel like you have
and by
too.
here, I mean like literally on this property. No. So I'm Nick. I'm the site pastor at Hope Mills site. And I've been on staff for 16 years now. As of this November, I will have been on staff longer than I haven't been on staff in my life.
That's
so
gross.
That's the halfway point. Yeah.
That's
That
cool.
is disgusting.
Man.
Yeah. Anyway, I love what I do.
16 years, dude.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, Sade,
Man, hey.
as the junior staff member.
Yes, the youngest one here, I
Wow.
guess.
Oh, no, I didn't mean your age.
Oh.
But I guess if we want to go
okay,
there,
yeah, no,
who
we
wins?
can.
Let's not.
No, I've been working on staff at Manna since 2019 now, which is really crazy to me because I never would have thought that I would have been here, in this position. That's a whole other story for another day. But I serve as the events director at Manna, and it's been a ride. It's been awesome.
Do I remember correctly? Did you intern here?
I did, actually. So right before I was hired on, I was an intern.
How did that happen?
Nick Ertel.
Hey.
No.
Hey.
See that? I'm just drawing circles here around us as we're discussing circles.
The Lord has a plan for your life, and so do I.
You said
man.
that exact phrase to me
That's my
whenever
go-to.
we sat in our
It's a
first
good
interview,
go-to.
and you did too.
I did, yeah.
Yep.
But you got there's reason that you and I might have some animosity. Might that have to do with your collegiate background? Where'd you go to school?
Yes, I'm a Tar Heel born, Tar Heel bred,
Oh my
and when I
gosh.
die, I will be Tar Heel dead.
Oh, my word.
Wow.
So go Heels.
That's not
Yikes.
cultish
Yeah.
at all.
Yeah, that's,
No.
which explains our
They
animosity.
brainwashed us,
They
yes.
did brainwash you. So you went to UNC.
I did.
Yeah.
I went
Wow.
to UNC right before the internship, actually. I'd graduated. And then, long story short, my mom calls me and goes, "Hey, there's this guy on staff, Andrew Sutton. He has his bachelor's degree and he's doing the internship. Maybe you should do it." Because we've been going to church here since 2010.
Wow.
So I'd been going to church since I was a sophomore here at Manna Church in Fayetteville, Fort Bragg. And then my mom said, "Hey, you still have an opportunity to do the internship. Why don't you just do it? I know you're graduated." And I said, "Okay, yeah, maybe. Lord, I'll give you the year." And here I am.
How many Lord, I'll give you the year moments have there been here at Manna Church? That's so many people's story.
That's right.
Yeah.
Romans 12 just says give more life. So
Yikes.
year's just a drop in the bucket.
I didn't realize I was signing up for all that. But
Yeah.
anyway, yeah. Well, since we're all sharing, this is my 23rd year on staff.
Wow.
Yeah, which is terrifying because I joined staff at the age of 7. So that would explain
Yeah. Explains a lot.
why I'm so
Nobody
young.
believes this.
Looks so young.
Yeah,
That's
no,
crazy.
I don't know how to move on from here. So today we're discussing circles growing and gifting,
Yeah.
and I think we talked in the message about spiritual and natural gifts. So I think as we kind of open this discussion up, let's tell the good people at home what one natural gift you might have that people don't know about. We'll start with you, Elliot. What's a natural gift of yours?
Well, some of you, all of you here know this, actually. But so because I just revealed it, that my thumb is double jointed. So that is a natural gift
Okay.
I don't want to
that I had. No, all right. Well, there's some others as well. No, but I just musically, I'm musically inclined. So that's something that God has used to as a way to allow me to serve him wherever I am, whatever local church I'm in, wherever country I've been in, I've been deployed, and you've been able to use that gifting. So that's one natural gift.
It's not time to advertise your SoundCloud. Let's slow down for a second. But
And I have a few songs that I wrote.
Yeah.
You can search me.
I want to share
I'm just kidding.
with you. True or false? You have been a Manna Church worship leader at more than one Manna Church.
That is true. So that is true. 2004. You want me to get into the history
Let's
of
get
that?
granular,
or do you want me to
baby.
leave it at yes?
No, this is your natural gifting.
This
We
is
got to
a
know.
natural gifting that I have. So one is Manna Church of Lumberton in 2004. That's right. So before the vision of Multiply was, we had a vision to plant in Lumberton. So I remember getting back from Iraq. So I was here at Manna Church for about 6 months. I deployed, came back, and the worship pastor at the time, Wayne Tate, said, "Hey, Elliot, we're doing a plan over there, and they need a guy." He didn't even know that I could play anything, but apparently he didn't want me here. So I'm just kidding.
It's good.
So he sent me over there, and I had the privilege of leading worship over there and developing the team over there from 2004 to 2006. And then
But
from
you said there were two. So what's the second one?
so from there, Wayne Tate once again
Man,
said, "Hey, there's this." Apparently he didn't want me here.
he doesn't like you.
Yeah, I don't know if that's another
It's like,
conversation
we just
for
need
another
you
day.
elsewhere.
But yeah, so 2006, I'm actually a few months from getting married to my wife Jessica, and he says, "Hey, there's a church called Bethel Church, who is now what is now called Manna Church, capital area."
There it is.
Yeah.
And he sent me there, and I was there from 2006 to 2008,
Wow.
and then came back
And then came back
here.
Look at that.
That's cool.
after he was done being the worship pastor. So I think there's a connection there,
There
but
is.
we're not going to dive deep into that.
We just
right now.
mind that out. Everyone can witness your healing happening in this
Wow.
moment. That's
Yeah,
what we
this
do
is
on this
This is
show.
what
Come
Circles is
on.
all about, which
That's
I
what we do on
Amen.
this show.
Yeah.
Really, we talked about this already, but in Circles we find healing, and I'm just glad we could be a part of that
Wow.
healing for you.
Amen.
That's a moment right
Literally live action.
I just
Power of
touched
the
so
moment.
cool.
I touched his double jointed thumb, and now I'm
Oh,
double jointed because I learned that in a circle.
welcome.
Nick, let's talk about some natural gifting. You don't have much, but
Yeah, it's
the
just
little,
a really had to
you
dive
have.
deep.
Yeah, what's in there?
Some people don't know about me that I'm a recovering musician.
Oh dear.
Recovering.
Yeah, so I used to be a musician. So I played
be? Okay.
percussion, guitar, bass, electric and acoustic guitar.
I have
Yeah.
seen you play drums, actually. I did know that.
I was playing a little bit this morning.
Oh, really? Okay.
Nick Ertel, true or false? You once appeared during a Reach Out celebration event wearing the tightest tights anyone has ever
might have been
worn
someone
on a
else.
stage. Are you sure?
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that was you.
Insert
I don't
picture
know, what
here.
is The Rock?
What is?
My kids still talk about that.
Yeah.
Oh, I
the
still
thing
talk
is,
about that.
if I remember correctly, the whole point was that, Emery Anderson, he's the spoken word artist. Sure.
Yeah.
And the people needed to know that really, if you just dress the right way and have the right beret on,
That's it.
It's really about the beret.
It is.
But it's
tightness
way
of the
easier
pants.
than it looks. There's no art in it at all.
It's how Emery's always gotten away with it all this time is his berets.
That's what
Oh,
it
that
is.
He
makes-
shows
yeah,
up,
true.
he's got on a hat, and we're like, this has got to be good.
Especially
Oh
who
my
he
goodness.
is.
Yeah.
It doesn't even have to rhyme.
That's true.
Nope.
No, and
And yet people
sometimes
love
it doesn't even. It's amazing how he
True.
pulls that off. Yeah, anyway.
We're still crying.
Sade, some
Yeah.
natural giftings.
Man, oh, too many to count. Where do I? No, I'm just kidding.
Typical UNC grad, right?
Good.
I have all the gifts.
Oh no, I'm just
I
kidding.
myself am a gift.
This is a really intimidating question because I really don't know. I guess one of the things that I like to think that I have is that I can pick up languages pretty easily.
Stop it.
Yeah. But I'm not fluent in anything, so it doesn't count
Para.
for anything. Stop. In Spanish, I know what that means because I hear
Good
that
test,
a
yeah.
lot. But yeah,
I have
just
to-
learn
I
the
have-
alphabet, and then you can literally get away with anything.
Like any good news anchor, I have to ask one more question though.
Okay, yeah.
You pick up languages, but you don't speak any. I'm
Nope.
confused.
Because I think that a lot of it, you have to be immersed in the culture to really like use it. I have no
Wow.
like situation where I can
Immersed.
actually use those languages. So I just play around and
Wow.
pick and dabble.
That's great that you said immersed, because I think that's a nice natural segue into talking about small groups where we immerse ourselves in relationship
Here we go.
to
Well
grow
done.
in gifting.
Is that
Like
environment?
Nice.
Hey.
Supernatural. That's
Bars.
amazing.
See, Emery got nothing.
Yeah.
He's been faking it this whole time.
This is
I'll
not
tell
a
you what.
beret, but it's close. I'll tell you.
It's a Manna Church hat. So listen, we have three things that we talked about in growing and gifting. We talked about it in the context of small group, but we talked about discovering, we talked about developing, and then ultimately we talked about deploying into our small group. So it's an open question, but somebody jump in first. Don't wait long. But what's a way that you discovered some spiritual giftings that the Lord had placed inside of you? What's something? Talk me through the process of realizing, hey, God gave this to me.
Yeah.
Well, I know that this is a small group series, but seriously, it started in a small group for me. In fact, I was just telling someone the other day that back in the day on Wednesday nights, we had EE, Evangelism Explosion, and we also had Youth EE.
Oh.
So I remember back in the day, I got involved, and I'm just learning a little bit about my faith. I'm learning how to share my faith with other people. It's giving me some tools in the tool belt of how to evangelize and share the gospel with people. It was in the process of me going through that small group that I developed relationships with people. In fact, one of the relationships ended up being the youth pastor that mentored and discipled me. And it was after that small group that I just started to dive in and really give my life to this. I think that genuinely something awakened in me during that small group where I realized, hey, there might be something here.
Yeah.
Wow.
So
That's really cool.
discovering some gifting in areas of, evangelism and perhaps a vocational call, and starting to work that out in a small group setting. Other small groups from there, some mentoring relationships, and one thing led to another.
Well, as they say, I
say.
committed for 12 months and been here 16 years.
That's it.
In that discovery phase, though, how much of that legwork was like you on your own in the living room with the journal, like speak God to me, and how much of that was like, getting something from the Lord, but then sharing it to maybe the leader or the people in the group?
Yeah, there's both, a lot of both in that. So I think the initial discovery probably started when I was just around people and trying something new. I don't know if this is for me or if I'm good at it or like whatever. Like it's just like, hey, I'm just here. I'm just happy to be here. And along the way, it awakened something, and I realized, man, this might be for me. And so then I start getting intentional about it. All right, Lord, is this something that you have for me? And I'm starting to talk to my mentors, my parents, people who know me best. I'm starting to be intentional in prayer. Lord, is this what you have for me? Like you said, journaling, devotional times, things like that. But I think the initial spark started just by getting in community. And I know we talk about giftedness and how gifts don't exist in a vacuum. They're often discovered and oftentimes developed in community. And so that's honestly what was true for me.
That's good.
Yeah, no, that's really good. I want to piggyback off of that a little bit because I think one of the things, I didn't realize it until I got here. So you can realize kind of your gifts in community, in any sort of community. So I remember being in high school and taking a journalism class and going, okay, I really do like this. Like, I don't know what's going to come of this. Maybe I can get paid for this. Who knows? I'm trying to think lucratively, at least. But I remember taking a forensics class and learning how to speak. So we had to do competitions and go over to all kinds of schools across North Carolina and just speak and do different categories of things. So I remember like doing oral interpretation, which is where you take a book, you cut it, you kind of just make a script out of it, and then you essentially perform it in front of people in your age range, and then you get judged, all that jazz. So I remember doing it and just having fun with this class, and my teacher going, hey, like, this sucks because you're a senior and you're about to graduate, but I really do think that there's something here. And I just remember thinking, oh, okay, well, this is just fun. I've had fun. I don't know if I want to take it seriously, but it wasn't until I got here and started working at Manna, interning at Manna, that you actually made the communication small group a couple years ago where we like learned and practiced how to site host. And I remember doing that, and it kind of reminded me back to that class in that moment where that teacher had kind of called that out of me. And so you were kind of saying the same things. And I said, oh, is this, Lord, am I supposed to use this? Communicate and use my voice? So
When the Lord kind of shut some interesting doors for you too.
Oh yeah, that's a whole nother story for a whole nother day. So he
But it was clear that he was pointing you to this.
Oh yeah, but I was totally going back to like the journaling and the devotion. I think it's so important to have your own personal relationship with the Lord and know how the Holy Spirit moves from your eyes and in like just your witness. So for me, I've always journaled, and I remember during that time, I know what I wanted to do. I wanted to go and take the lucrative route, so that way I could become independent, kind of foster some foundational, like just groundwork, get the career going, all that jazz, be the career woman, all this kind of stuff that I had going in my head. And I remember you guys coming to me and saying, hey, like there's an opportunity for you here. We would love to have you on staff. At the time, I learned that I saw that Manna was just so intentional. The people of Manna were so intentional about me discovering my gifts and operating in those and fully using those. And I didn't realize that until I had gotten into community and I was way more involved and way more intentional. And so when that happened, I said, oh my gosh, Lord, like I've known that you wanted to take me and use me in these ways, but I thought that this would be the only way. I didn't know that it could also happen at Manna or with people in the local church. So at this point, whatever you want to do, like you just tell me where you want me to go.
Give up and give in.
Yeah, he made it so clear.
I'm going to come to you in 1 second. Hold that thought. I know you're chomping at the bit. I got to put both of you on the spot for just 1 second.
Yeah.
Because you're talking about discovering gifting at a fairly early age and walking into it.
Yeah.
And you discovered some gifting. We're talking about walking and discovering gifting even after you graduated college.
Yeah.
Like for some of us, we pretend like the learning phase is until I'm done with college. But I've known you a number of years now.
Oh my gosh.
And you model discovering a new bag of tricks like it seems like every other week.
I still feel like I am.
So talk to me about the tension of, not the tension, but talk to me about the posturing of both learning it when I'm young and then at the same time stepping from I feel like I have a path and still being open and discovering. There's kind of a beautiful little bookend sort of.
Oh yeah.
I tell the interns when they join our program that you may be David or you may be Moses, or be able to identify with them, and that David knew his calling at a very young age, but he didn't step into it till much later.
Right.
So there's a tension that goes with knowing, hey, I believe the Lord has called me to this, but the day after Samuel the prophet anointed him to be, the next king over Israel, he wasn't being fitted for his royal scepter and throne and everything. He went back to sheep duty.
That's it.
And so sometimes, exactly. So, but then Moses, Moses was 80 years old when he sees the burning bush. Yep. And not to say that nothing happened in his life before that, everything led him to that place. But the idea is like the big stuff that we know Moses for, that happened much later on in life. So I think that for me, and in my story, I really identify with David in that I knew what I was called to at a young age, but it's a process of humbling myself, investing into the education, investing into the sheep duty. Some people would look at it like, man, I'm not doing anything that's that important, but really the Lord is shaping you all along the way.
That's good.
Oh, yeah.
So I think what he's saying then is you're Moses in this analogy?
That's what I heard.
You're the old one?
I'm the old one.
I don't know what's
gets
happening.
angry and strikes the rock. No.
Bible humor. I love it.
I love The Prince of Egypt. It's one of my favorite movies. But no, I can attest to that too. I actually remember being young and getting frustrated because I didn't have like that thing, like the talent or the thing that would propel me forward. So there were, at least when I was growing up, those once in a lifetime like talents that were just rising out of nowhere, like just young people. Oh, like I knew I was going to be singing when I was 3 years old and my parents put me in and all that jazz.
Yes.
I remember going to my parents, hey, I want to do gymnastics. Maybe I'm a gymnast. Hey, I want to play violin. Maybe I'm a musician. I don't know. And being so frustrated and going, Lord, I don't have a gift. I don't have a talent. Like, what do you want me to do? And I've been learning so much lately that I have to unlearn so much in order to really discover what it is that the Lord's calling me to at that particular time. So there are multiple gifts, I think, for multiple seasons, for multiple time periods in one person's life. And so those gifts, I kind of think, just kind of grow and stack on each other. And it's not like, okay, woohoo, one and done, or I'm just this one gift person who can go and change the world and be a singer for the rest of my life and da-da-da. Even people who know that they were called at an early age, I think, discover and still have time to discover so many more gifts that the Lord will just use in whatever way that he wants to use them. So I think that one of the bigger things that I've been kind of walking through is that whole phrase, the jack of all trades, the master of none type deal. So I always wanted to be like the master of one and just have one thing that I can go out and be like, okay, this is my thing. But I'm starting to learn, hey, the jack of all trades is just as valuable too. Sure. And just as important as well. So just using whatever.
There's great hope in that Moses story.
Oh,
and in I think in Daniel's story and in all these heroes of scripture of stepping into ultimate purpose, the reason why they're on the planet so much later in age. I love that you said unlearn. That I wish we could just camp on that for a minute. But I want to swing around to you, Elliot, because I want to talk about discovery of gifts. And I've watched you navigate. You're a very gifted dude. Like you're musical, but at the same time administrative. Like you can do systems in a way that don't usually go together.
Right.
While at the same time you've managed the tension.
Just don't look at my desk. It's not as systematic.
Well, you do have a habit of sort of filing things in general. They're neat-ish piles.
Yeah, I know where they are.
Yeah. No one else does.
That's what counts.
Sure. But I've watched you navigate this discovery of, cause we've known each other a while. So Wayne Tate, the guy, a long time. Wayne Tate, the guy who tried to get rid of you so many times.
Several times.
Yeah. He's near and dear to my heart. So we've been in the same circle for a while. And what I've observed about you in the discovery phase of discovering your gifts is how you've navigated this clear call to both be a soldier in the Lord's army and also in the U.S. Army, and walking this ever-expanding call of God on your life for ministry. So talk about how you've navigated through that discovery process of, it seems like you're still discovering what God wants you to be when you grow up.
Right, but like, isn't that all our stories, really?
Yeah.
I think there's something to growing early on in age. To be honest with you, the idea of purpose wasn't awakened. I would say that it started to be awakened really when I joined the Army. So I joined the Army July 2001. So I was in basic training when 9/11 happened.
I was just doing that math when you said that. I thought, wow.
Yeah, I'm old.
Good time.
But I was in basic training. I remember we were in BRM phase. So this is where we're learning how to shoot our weapons. And there's a kid that he was in sick hall, which means that morning he didn't feel well. So he went to the medic. That's what that means. So he came back to join us. Yeah. He came back to join us and he was like, oh my gosh, these planes hit the towers. And we're just like, no, like that's not, was that a movie? Where did you see that? And the first sergeant, so the first sergeant is kind of the enlisted member that's in charge of the company. He came and he said, hey, anybody from New York here? So there was a few of us. It was probably like 5 or 6 of us that were from New York. And then, he told us at that time. But what was interesting, besides kind of my journey and then my family's journey in that, was that by God's grace, I was also part of when everything changed for this generation of soldiers. Because the people that were my drill sergeants, they never been to war. Anyway. So God used during that time to awaken this idea of purpose. And so I think the 2 main things that really started to be foundational was this: assume there's something to discover.
Yeah, that's good.
I mean, I think so many times
that's good.
We just go through life and it's easy to discount what you have in your hand, right?
Yeah.
But to do that, I'm discounting God. Really. So this idea of just assume there's something to discover. And if there is something to discover, then am I the person that put it in there, or someone else the person that put it in there? And if it's me, then it's probably going to be pretty short-sighted, right?
Yeah.
I could probably choose a couple of things in there and that's about it. But if it's God who's infinite, if it's God who is a gift giver, if
Come
it's
on.
God
Yeah.
that is, man, just absolutely amazing in all he is, then man, there is so much more to discover.
It's good.
Absolutely.
So assume there's something to discover, and you learn early on in your Army life to say yes, right? So like, yes, Sergeant, yes, Joe Sergeant, yes, sir, no, sir. You say yes. You don't get to choose the mission you say yes to. You just say yes to the mission.
That's it.
So I feel like those two things, those two ideas, assume there's something to discover and say yes. And when those two things happen, man, the verse that comes to mind is in 1 Corinthians 3:18, right? That God would do in you beyond whatever you could think or imagine.
Good.
So if you assume yes, if you assume that there's stuff to discover, and man, I'm still learning.
Yeah.
And I'm excited about what that's going to look like.
Yeah.
And so that, say yes, and man, then God would do beyond whatever we could think or imagine.
Let's
really
get
cool.
practical for 1 second. And again, I'm going to put you on the spot like I did them a little bit, because Manna Church is in a primarily military context. So what has it looked like in your life? I love that. Assume that God put something in there and then say yes. Just walk into that.
Yeah.
But how did that look like unfolding? Because you're retiring soon from the Army, but you put in 20 years of
21 to be exact.
years
Chris.
of service. I was trying not to age you,
I'm
bro.
just kidding.
You
It's already beyond that
You put
point.
in 21 years of service. So you walked this whole walk of recognizing the call of God on my life while I'm in the service. I mean, that the duality of those calls. Talk a bit about what that looks like as you walk that out in the military.
Yeah, I think, man, I'm just so grateful, because when you look, I think we operate compartmentalized, or at least in general, a lot of guys can operate compartmentalized. So
I don't know what you're talking about.
There's
What?
So there's this part of my life, right? There's my quote unquote work life, there's my church life, there's my school life, there's my family, all those things. But what I've realized is that God doesn't operate compartmentalized. So he uses all these things
That's good, Elliot.
to shape who you are, who you're becoming, what he wants to do in and through you.
Yeah.
And the sooner you realize that, the better it is for you.
That's good, Elliot.
But it
Did you write
wasn't.
that? Is that on your? Did you write that down on your iPad?
It was. It was in. As I said, I'm systematically in here,
There
not
it
so
is.
much.
Man, that's gold, bro. That's real good.
No, but it's true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. So there came a time where I remember I was. It was 2006. That's when or 2005. I took my first theology class. Right here, knew nothing about Jesus, and then all of a sudden, like, oh my gosh.
Let's jump in the 16-foot end of the pool.
Yeah, it was actually it was actually your dad's, Michael's, last theology class of that season of his life.
Oh my gosh.
And it was Jeff Christensen's first TA class. He's our Ramsey Street site pastor.
Dang.
That's awesome.
That's
Crazy.
wild.
Yeah, once again, I'm old.
That's the worst of both
Yeah.
worlds. So Dad when he's crabby and Jeff when he's trying to prove something.
Yeah. So I didn't learn much, but God went. I'm just kidding. But man, God just started to work in my heart and just to work in me this call toward full-time ministry. But then there was a bit of a tension, because what I thought was it is this direction, no longer this direction.
Yeah.
But God had other plans in mind.
Yeah.
Because I remember just submitting that to God. I actually thought I was going to get out 2008. Like, really.
Wow.
I thought this was it. This was my last enlistment. I'm ready to go and, pursue whatever ministry looks like. And then I remember I was praying, and God said, all I want you to do is go to school. Right. And at that time, the principle was you march on the last orders given. So
You
like
told me that once.
until so until I give you new orders, you march off of these orders.
Yeah.
But it was hard, because in my mind, my purpose was in this direction and it wasn't in this direction. But all along, God was saying, no, I work all things, right, for your good. They're all. So actually what is here is necessary to get you to over there. And without this, you won't get there.
Good.
Come on.
So in reality, in life, like all these roads converge, right? We all, God uses all things in your life to shape you into the person He wants to call you to be.
That'll preach.
That's
So
good.
if the discovery phase of gifting seems to happen really beautifully in a collective, it sounds I can't speak. It sounds like all of you have hit on some way that the discovery really you is solidified being a part of a circle, part of a small group. But unless I'm overburdening the statement, and you react to this if you think it's too much, it seems like the development phase is where small groups become, non-optional.
Yeah, it's essential for
Yeah,
sure.
that's not an overburdened statement
Yeah.
at all.
So there's the grenade. Go.
Yeah. No, I think just the one thing there is the training ground
Yeah.
is small groups. So just imagine living the Christian life.
You're saying the training ground for my gifting
The training ground
is
for
in small group.
the Christian life,
There you
and
go.
therefore my
Yeah.
gifting
There you go.
is in small groups.
I got it.
So if you remove that training ground, what do you have? Like you don't have much.
Right.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's really
You started
really
to say something. He jumped on you there.
Yeah, no, just kind of thinking about it too, practically, whenever you have people who are on the outside of you that see you, just like who can see what you can't see
Oh, good.
already.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
That's good.
just, it makes sense. It's the most logical. So the fact that you have people that are looking on at you or calling things out in you or holding you accountable essentially is just, that's why small group is essential. It just helps with the self-awareness and the self-discovery and you discovering who God is calling you to be and who He's becoming, making you become.
Yeah.
So for me, in my own experience, having those people, having that circle in my life, where they get to call out and go, hey, Sade, this, or have you ever thought about this? Or I really feel like the Lord is pulling this out of you, has been essential in being even more intentional with the Lord and ask Him for specifics. Yeah.
Nicholas, I'm going to ask you a question, but fair game after he responds to it, all right? So if I read 1 Timothy chapter 4, verses 14 through 15, it says this: do not neglect the gift you have, which was given you by prophecy when the council of elders laid their hands on you. Practice these things, immerse yourself in them so that you all may see progress.
Yeah.
It sounds as if we have an obligation to develop our giftings. Am I over?
No, it's a responsibility. So, like I said earlier, gifts don't exist in a vacuum. They're often discovered, but almost always developed in the context of community.
Yeah.
And so I love the word immerse.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My daughter, I mentioned in the message that my daughter is in a Spanish immersion program, and studies show that immersion is one of the best methods for someone to learn a new language. That's true for a lot of things. It could be a language, it could be an instrument, could be a spiritual gift. When you put yourself in an environment where people are better than you at something, the likelihood is that you're going to grow. You surround yourself with like-minded believers who are growing towards Christ, and they're good at the thing that you want to get better at, and you're probably going to grow, even if it's just by learning things by osmosis. So, hey, you're saying these things, you're doing these things, you're living your life this way, and I'm going to emulate you because you're a couple of steps ahead of me.
Yeah.
And sometimes just by that alone, I'm starting to catch on to something, and then God ignites something, you start to grow. So, you know what's interesting though? Out of all of the passages that mention a list of spiritual gifts, so you've got Romans 12, Ephesians 4, and then of course 1 Corinthians 12, out of all of those, and many more, by the way, mention the body of Christ.
Yeah.
It's always paired with this idea of the body of Christ. And it's almost like Paul is letting us know that, God has given gifts to you, but they're not for you.
Yeah.
So
that's really good.
they were designed to be not just a training ground in the context of small groups, but that's also the mission field.
That's good.
Wow.
So you can't just discover the gift and think that you're going to train on your own. No, it's got to be within the context of a small group, but also the crazy part is the same context that's helping you train in this gift is the same context where the ministry is being done.
There you go.
Wow.
So
That's cool.
I mean, that's where we see the intentionality between the gift that God has given us. And oftentimes we'll try to make it about ourselves. The arrows are pointed inward, and it ends up just being narcissistic. But when gifts are all about us, then who are we giving them to? We can't share it with anybody. It's all about me. But when we allow our gifts to be just modes of ministry towards others, towards the body, as every joint supplies, is what Ephesians 4 says. Then we are held and fitted together. Held it.
That is so
you like
good.
that?
Then we're held at it. Where did you went to Hoke High, right?
Hoke High School. Hey, look, Bucktown. All right.
I tell you what.
Come on, people.
Hoke
High.
I'm sorry. It was just.
Go ahead and drop me an amen in the comments down below.
Anyway, Elliot, you. So I don't know if we listed this in the opening there, but you spent a significant amount of time heading up our small groups and leading the lane there in small groups.
Yeah.
So we talk about these three things: discover, develop, and deploy, as if they're clean phases. And I know you're a systems guy, and I know everybody in the world would love it if everything in life
Me
was
too.
step 1 to step 2
Discover.
to step 3. But talk to me about, you've done a lot of study, a lot of leadership in this lane. Talk to me about, and this is from our growth track, Discover, Develop, Deploy. You taught a whole bunch of this. You've seen this happen a lot.
Yep.
Talk to me about the fuzzy nature of develop and deploy within the context of small groups and gifting. It seems like it's I don't know. It doesn't seem clean to me.
Well, but I love what you said, right? Because we would all love step 1, do this. Step 2, do this. Step 3, do this. And that just doesn't exist.
It's most of our arguments, yours and mine. Why isn't it clean? It can't be. Make it clean.
Yeah. So I want you to think of this. Nothing in life is really that clean, right? I mean, just think about your experiences.
Yeah.
Think about, just how you came to think of something the way you think of it, right? Like all those things, like life is messy.
Yeah.
And purpose discovery is messy. But just because it's messy, it doesn't mean it's not worth it. It makes it even more worth it. So I want you to think of these discover, develop, deploy. You are in one of these phases in multiple areas of your life at any given time.
Oh, yeah.
Thanks for clearing that up.
Yeah. So it's like step 1 and then step 1A and B and C.
You just made my whole life a mess.
But if you think about it, right? Because there's these areas that are maybe you have discovered and they're a bit more mature. So you're using those areas, those giftings. But then in the process of using those areas and giftings, what are you doing? Well, I'm discovering new things, and then I'm in community. I'm around people, and I'm developing those things, and so it just keeps on going. I don't. It's impossible if you're looking for a clean, step 1, step 2, step 3, and only that. Then sorry to disappoint you. It just doesn't work that way.
Yeah.
So in every part of your life, you are in some aspect of discovery, developing, and deploying. And I think that's the beauty of the messiness of discipleship and community.
Yeah.
Love it.
Yeah.
Sade,
Yeah.
I've watched you deploy a number of times into gifts while at the same time, exactly what Elliot's saying here, discovering and even developing in other areas. Mm-hmm. Talk about how your experience in community has helped create. I think Anna said in the first week of this series, she talked about accountability, providing stability. So talk about the stabilizing factor of this process happening in safe relationships.
Oh my gosh, yes. So for me, kind of going back to just a little bit of my story, when I was at that time trying to figure out, okay, Lord, like, where are you calling me to? Because I know that you want to do this. And at the time, I just really clearly heard that he wanted to make me a leader. And I said, I don't even know what that means. I don't even know what that looks like. But okay. And so he broke down some walls in my mind and in my heart, and kind of explaining and showing me that the where, and I've heard you say this before too, which is really cool, but the where and the what doesn't necessarily matter whenever it comes to that. just trust and know that he's going to do what he's going to do. Whenever you just fully surrender and go, okay, cool, wherever you want, whatever you want. So going back to that time when I was praying to him and I was so desperate and I was just like, okay, where do you want me? Do you want me to join the Air Force? I would love that. That'd be awesome. Or do you want me to go into ministry? Which is nothing, like that never ran across my mind. And so I remember the door just opened and it was so clear and he made it so evident. And I said, okay, this is really not what I imagined. I'm nervous out of my mind. Like I'm going to go crazy because I don't know what does this look like for me?
You're not making me feel better, Sade.
Okay, well, listen. No. So that's when community came in. That's when.
Okay, all right, I'm with you now.
I was going there, but that's when community really stepped in and really held me up and said, hey, like the Lord has got you. And I really saw that whenever I saw them around me going, oh, the Lord, you fashioned these people, first of all. You made them in your image. I can trust the Holy Spirit in them because I've heard your spirit talk through them before. So oh my gosh, it was just so cool. And even now, just the people that I've been in a circle with for these years now, I feel like it's getting just even stronger and the bonds just grow even thicker the more that we walk together, because at this point now it's like, oh, I'm secure in okay, Lord, you can do whatever you want, but you've surrounded me with people who know you, who love you, who are chasing after you, so I can trust them and literally go, okay, I can relax. So that's
I heard two words that I'm going to segue to you here on. I heard bonds and security. You're talking about people who love you.
Yeah.
I cannot help but notice that 1 Corinthians 12, this message that you spoke is like we spent a lot of time in 1 Corinthians 12.
Yeah.
You know what comes in chapter 13?
It's a love chapter.
It is a love chapter.
That's it.
What?
So why does Paul put those, why are they so closely linked? Because I heard Sade say bonds and security, which sounded like love to me.
Oh, definitely.
And I can't help but think there's a stew going on here. What's going on here?
Yeah, so there's a couple of concepts that we see Paul continue to go back to anytime he talks about gifting. Talked about the body of Christ, but this is the other one, where he just spent all this time going through chapter 12, listing all of these spiritual gifts and talking about the body, but then he gets right into love. Now, chapter 14, he's going to get back into some gifts. So it's like he interrupted himself in order to say, hey, love is the most important thing. So you can have all these gifts, and this goes back to what I was saying earlier. If we make gifts about ourselves, then the arrows are pointed inward. So it's almost just like a gut check.
Sure.
Like if you can't love others, if you can't have the arrows pointed outward, then this is all for naught. So we see Paul do this a couple of times. We see it in the chapter 13, with the love chapter, but also look at Galatians 5, the fruit of the Spirit. So there's love,
that's right,
joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, self-control, but the first of which is love. It's like he keeps pointing back to this idea that, hey, we got to love each other, and if we miss that, then who cares what gifting you have? Why? Because spiritual gifts don't make us spiritual.
Oof.
So what makes us spiritual? Well, Jesus said, judge a tree by its fruit. Well, the fruit of the Spirit, love, joy, peace, patience.
Bars. I love that, Nick.
That's really good.
Well, thanks for joining us for another conversation, Circles Growing in Gifting. If we can help you in any way, we'd love to. If you would like, we have a spiritual gifts test that is available. You can email us, contact@manna.church, and we'll send you a link for your very own spiritual gifts test. As always, we love you, Manna Church. You were created on purpose, for a purpose. You're gifted beyond what you can believe. And Jesus is inviting you to discover, develop, and deploy into that gifting and change the world. See you next time.